Burst is probably one of the most controversial mechanics in Jujutsu Shenanigans. For the uninitiated who have no idea what I'm talking about, Burst is a special anti-team mechanic for JJS. The way it works is simple. If you get hit by more than one person in a short period of time, you can press Q to burst, which knocks away and ragdolls anyone near you, while also granting you a damage buff that scales based on how many people hit you, with a 0.25 times multiplier for each person you burst that caps at 2 times damage. The problem is that this gimmick sucks as an anti-team mechanic, and that's what this video is for. I'm going to talk about Burst, why it fails to really help fight against teamers, but also why that might not really matter in the grand scheme of things. Before that though, I'd appreciate if you subscribed because it truly helps me out a lot and lets you get notified of other important JJS updates and information. Now, let's talk about Burst. First, Burst's main problem is that it doesn't solve what I'd say is a core issue with fighting against teamers, and that's being stunned, which I'm going to clarify because I know that's pretty vague. When you're fighting against teamers, there's 2 main things I'd say make it near impossible to fight back. The first part of this is that a lot of moves self-stun, examples of that being Yuji's Curse Strikes or Gojo's Lapse Blue, where they grab someone and make the user unable to defend themselves while they're hitting their target. In 1v1s, this is completely fine, because nobody's there to interrupt the user, but when you're getting teamed on, it makes these moves impossible to use because if you use them, you're getting comboed, and now you'll take the damage of a full combo for landing one of your moves. The second part, which is really an extension of this, is that you can't pull off any combos of your own, since if you try to stun one person and pull off a long combo for damage, you'll just get interrupted and comboed by that other person, suffering far more damage than you ever inflicted. You have no way to fight back because your source of damage, which is combos, is completely cut off, and you can't really defend or hold out for too long because there's 2 people who can pull off full combos to delete your health bar instead of just one person who's limited by cooldowns. Theoretically, Burst is supposed to solve one of these problems, which is 2 people pulling off an extended combo together, and that is sort of the case, but really not. Burst solves one of these combos, which is that infamous infinite M1 combo that teamers can pull off in other games, where one person M1s you 3 times, the other person M1s you 3 times, and the first teamer M1s you 3 times again to repeat the cycle and just keep M1ing you until you die. That is impossible in JJS as long as you have Burst, because both people hitting you triggers a condition for it to activate, and so you can knock people away to escape. However, it's very easy to work around that, or maybe it's less of a workaround, and more so that teamers really don't need to be able to pull off that true extended combo to still win with 0 difficulty. As I mentioned before, teamers can simply have one person land a hit, do their combo, and then have the other person start fighting so that they can land their full combo as the first teamer stands there to bail out their friend if they ever get comboed. Even if you overlap your attacks on accident and trigger Burst, it really isn't a big deal because your opponent still can't do anything with that damage boost, and both of you can just go back to jumping them as if nothing happened at all. What this results in isn't the devastating true 100-0 combo that's patched by Burst, but an equally devastating impossible scenario for whoever's getting teamed on, where they basically have to fight someone with 8 moves while getting banned from using any kinds of combos, because if they do, they get beat up and punished, since most moves in this game have some kind of end lag or self-stun on them that leaves you vulnerable after landing them. Add on ragdoll combos into the mix and the situation gets worse, because Burst really does nothing against ragdoll combos that use projectiles, like if a Gojo and Megumi team together, letting teamers unleash move after move on their target, admittedly for less damage than a full M1 combo, but still in a way that's completely unescapable for a target. In a nutshell, teamers can pull off any kind of combos they want for massive damage, with no real limitations, while their target can't really do anything because if they try to pull off a combo, they get punished hard for it. There's other problems with Burst, besides the fact that it doesn't solve some of the main problems of teaming though, and it's that's a cooldown based thing, meaning that if you use up one of your charges, you're open to those combos I spoke of earlier, and the damage boost you get from bursting really doesn't matter if you just get hit again, nor does it matter that much if you can't pull off any combos to use that damage boost because of the fact that you have people ready to interrupt you at a moment's notice. Even worse is the fact that teamers can trigger a damage boost on their own if they're in groups of 3 or more, or if you try to combo one of them and they hit their friend to trigger the burst mechanic. It makes the damage boost more of a boost for teamers who can trigger it on their own than it is for the lone person trying to survive against them who can't. All Burst really does is create a momentary inconvenience for the teamers, if it even activates in the first place, which really isn't all that common, before they jump right back into murdering whoever they're jumping. Especially against Megumis and Gojos, who can bombard you with projectiles outside the range of burst, and chain together their moves to evade the burst itself, and keep the team combo going. Burst simply ends up being useless because at the end of the day, It either does nothing, or barely helps you fight against teamers, letting you get out of a team combo when they slip up and attack you back to back, before you just get comboed right again, or go back to a neutral where you can't do any damage, because remember, no combos, while they still have every single option. Except, I wouldn't really say it's a huge problem. See, teamers in every single Battleground game are always going to be a problem. They'll by default have the advantage no matter where you go, whether that be the strongest Battlegrounds, Realm Rampage, Sorcerer Battlegrounds, do people even still play that game anymore? Or anything else. There isn't any perfect solution I can think of, and looking through community suggestions, they either have problems like this one, which would likely be abused by the teamers if they just hit their teammate to make the game think that the person they're teaming on is a teamer, or quite literally just say fix burst and nothing else. There is one suggestion that actually has some merit to it, and it's to add iframes to grab and stuff instead of using the burst mechanic. But I feel like a part of the charm of JJS is that you can be fighting someone else and then get nuked by a hollow purple or something, and then get killed by Charles the Choo-Choo Train or something equally ridiculous. That's the problem here. Jujutsu Shenanigans public servers are at its core made to be kind of a free-for-all environment where it's so hectic that it becomes enjoyable. And because it's a free-for-all environment, anti-team mechanics, if not done right, or even if they are done right, could screw things up and make that less fun. If you don't want to deal with teamers, ranked does exist, and while it does ruin public experience servers for some people, if they get jumped by 20 people and lose a fight you have no chance of winning, that's just kind of how it is. And while I do feel that burst is definitely not the best anti-team mechanic, if this was some sort of competitive game like TSB, where skill is supposed to be everything, it's sort of fine in a more casual game like JJS, where the fun is more so in how crazy things can get. And look, I'm open to other opinions on this. If you have your own solution for fixing teaming, tell me it in the comment section down below, and I'll either explain why it wouldn't work, or if it is actually a good idea I've never thought of, then I might make a suggestion review video that praises it, and might get it added into the game, since Z does watch my videos. But honestly speaking, I don't think burst needs to be removed or changed. I made this video because people hate the mechanic, I was asked to, and because they think it's useless. And yes, it is a terrible anti-team, but JJS is the kind of game where an anti-team really doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. And look, this is my perspective as someone who almost always just plays ranked modes, whether that be 1v1s or 2v2s, where things are guaranteed to be fair. So maybe I don't understand the plight of public server players who have to get Jujutsu jumped, but from how I see it, the way things are is fine. Maybe not perfect, but as close to good as we can get. And again, I'm open to your ideas, because I absolutely miss stuff. So let me know what I miss in the comments, but that's how I see it. An anti-team really could screw up how things work right now, and leaving things as they are might just be the better option. Anyways, with that being said, we're at the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching, then please consider subscribing for more Jujutsu Shenanigans videos where I talk about the state of the game, and also to help me out. I'm you eternally, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.